The crystal chandeliers of the Metropolitan Club cast elegant shadows across my father's 65th birthday celebration. I stood in the corner, nursing a glass of champagne that probably cost more than what they thought I made in a month, watching my sister Elizabeth bask in our father's attention. Morgan Industries wouldn't be what it is today without my brilliant daughter, Richard Morgan, my father announced to his assembled guests. Elizabeth has proven that the Morgan business sense runs strong in at least one of my children. The at least one stung exactly as he'd intended it to. Elizabeth shot me a sympathetic look that didn't quite reach her eyes, her CFO badge glinting under the chandeliers. She'd spent the last 5 years as Morgan Industries' chief financial officer, carefully groomed to take over the company our great-grandfather had founded. My phone buzzed silently in my pocket. A message from James, my chief strategic officer. Final paperwork complete. Shell company in position. We own 47% of Morgan Industries shares. Ready to execute hostile takeover at your command. I smiled into my champagne glass, thinking about the months of careful planning that had led to this moment. Through various shell companies and discrete purchases, I'd been slowly acquiring shares of my father's company while building my own empire in secret. Sophie's doing her best, I overheard my mother telling her friends, her voice carrying that particular tone of practiced disappointment. Not everyone can handle the corporate world like Elizabeth. At least she has that little consulting business. That little consulting business was actually one of my front companies, while my real enterprise, Phoenix Global, had just been valued at $12 billion. Tomorrow morning when the markets opened, Phoenix Global's subsidiary would launch a hostile takeover of Morgan Industries, and my family would finally learn what their disappointment had been up to. Still pushing papers at that startup? Elizabeth's husband James approached with his trademark condescending smile. He was a banking executive who measured success by the size of his corner office. You know, Morgan Industries is always looking for entry-level positions. I could put in a word. I checked my watch, 18 hours until market opening. Thanks, James. I'll keep that in mind. Sophie. My father's voice boomed across the room. Come here. Show everyone what my other daughter is doing these days. I moved through the crowd, noting faces I recognized from boardroom battles and acquisition meetings. Half of them had tried to partner with Phoenix Global, never knowing its mysterious CEO was standing right in front of them. Tell them about your little business, Father prompted, his smile not reaching his eyes. What is it again? Consulting. Technology consulting, I replied softly, watching Elizabeth preen beside him. We help companies optimize their operations. Like a corporate handyman, Elizabeth added helpfully, drawing polite laughter from the crowd. Though I'm sure it's very fulfilling. My phone buzzed again. Another message from James. Morgan Industries stock is vulnerable. Their last quarter showed significant weaknesses. Elizabeth's financial strategies have left them exposed. I suppressed a smile, remembering all the board meetings where Elizabeth had proudly presented her innovative financial plans. Plans that had unknowingly created perfect opportunities for a hostile takeover. At least one of my children understands real business, my father continued, squeezing Elizabeth's shoulder. The Morgan legacy will be safe in her hands. If he only knew that his precious legacy was already slipping through his fingers, that his successful daughter's financial strategies had left the company vulnerable to exactly the kind of takeover I'd planned. Sophie, my mother approached, her voice low, couldn't you have worn something more appropriate? She glanced dismissively at my simple black dress, a one-of-a-kind piece that cost more than Elizabeth's entire wardrobe. Sorry, Mother. This was the best I could afford. Another buzz from my phone. The final confirmation, all systems go. Takeover packages prepared. Press releases ready. At market opening, Morgan Industries will belong to Phoenix Global. I watched my father hold court with his business associates, bragging about Elizabeth's latest achievements while pointedly ignoring my existence. He had no idea that in less than a day his company would have a new owner, his disappointment daughter. Still driving that old Honda? Elizabeth asked, gesturing toward the parking lot where my modest car sat among the luxury vehicles. She didn't know it was a custom-built prototype worth more than her house. It gets me where I need to go. My father's voice rose again, a toast to Morgan Industries' future. and to the daughter who will lead it to greater heights. I raised my glass with the others, thinking about tomorrow's headlines. Phoenix Global acquires Morgan Industries in surprise takeover. The business world would be shocked, but not as shocked as my family when they learned the identity of Phoenix Global's founder and CEO. The party continued around me, a celebration of success they thought they understood. But in 18 hours their definition of success would need serious revision. I checked my phone one last time before slipping it back into my pocket. Everything was ready. Tomorrow the Morgan legacy would indeed be safe in a daughter's hands. Just not the daughter they expected. The irony wasn't lost on me as I watched Elizabeth chart out her plans for Morgan Industries' future on a napkin for some admiring executives. By this time tomorrow, those plans would be worth less than the napkin they were written on. "Sophie," my father called out as I prepared to leave early, "try to do something meaningful with your life. The Morgan name deserves better." I paused at the door, thinking about the documents waiting to be executed at market opening. "Don't worry, Father. I promise you'll be surprised by what I've done with the Morgan name." He waved me off dismissively, already turning back to Elizabeth and her admirers. In 18 hours, that dismissal would become the last time he underestimated his disappointing daughter. The morning sun had barely touched the Manhattan skyline when my private elevator ascended to Phoenix Global's executive floor. I'd spent the night in my office watching Asian markets react to rumors of an imminent major acquisition. Morgan Industries stock had already started to twitch nervously. "Good morning, Ms. Morgan." James, my CSO, stood waiting with a tablet displaying real-time market data. Elizabeth just arrived at Morgan Industries. She's scheduled to present her 5-year growth strategy to the board at 9 a.m. "A presentation that will never happen," I smiled, settling behind my desk. A handcrafted piece that cost more than my sister's annual bonus. "Status report? All pieces in place. Our shell companies control 47% of shares. Morgan Industries' stock price is vulnerable after Elizabeth's questionable quarterly decisions. The remaining shares we need are primed for purchase the moment markets open." My phone buzzed with a message from Elizabeth. "Missed you at breakfast. Dad's still upset you left the party early. When will you learn to show proper respect for family events?" Family events. Like the board meetings I wasn't invited to, or the company retreats where they discussed my wasted potential while planning Elizabeth's ascension. "Ms. Morgan," my assistant Sarah entered with another tablet. "Your father just arrived at Morgan Industries. He's scheduled to announce Elizabeth's promotion to president after the board meeting." I checked the time. 8:15 a.m. 45 minutes until market opening. Through my office windows I could see Morgan Industries headquarters across the city. The building my great-grandfather had built and the one I was about to take control of. "The press releases are ready," James continued. "Financial Times, Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg are all poised to break the story. Your identity as Phoenix Global's CEO will be revealed simultaneously with the takeover announcement." My office screens lit up with live feeds from Morgan Industries' lobby. Elizabeth was walking in, wearing her trademark power suit and self-satisfied smile. Father followed minutes later, probably rehearsing his speech about legacy and proper business sense. "Sarah," I called out, "show me the latest valuation reports." The screens split to display Phoenix Global's current worth, $12.4 billion. Morgan Industries, thanks to Elizabeth's innovative financial strategies, had dropped to $2.8 billion. My single quarter's profit could buy their company twice over. Another message from Elizabeth. "Board meeting starting soon. Dad's going to announce my promotion. Shame you never understood what it takes to be part of this legacy." I typed back, "Don't worry. I understand legacy perfectly." "Ms. Morgan," James interrupted, "Morgan Industries board members are arriving. Elizabeth is distributing her presentation packages." The screens showed my sister in her element, commanding attention, completely unaware that her carefully prepared 5-year strategy would be obsolete in 30 minutes. "Your father is starting his speech," Sarah reported, activating the audio feed. Richard Morgan's voice filled my office. "Today marks a new chapter for Morgan Industries. Our legacy, built over 3 generations, will continue through my daughter Elizabeth, who has proven herself worthy of the Morgan name." I thought about all the times he'd told me I wasn't worthy of that same name. The family dinners where he'd highlighted Elizabeth's achievements while dismissing my computer games. The board meetings where he'd laughed off my suggestions about digital transformation. Markets open in 15 minutes, James announced. Our trading systems are ready. The moment the bell rings, we'll launch the takeover. My phone buzzed again. Mother this time. Elizabeth looks so perfect today. If only you'd shown such dedication to the family business. I smiled, thinking about the 8 years I'd spent building Phoenix Global while they thought I was struggling with my consulting business. Every dismissive comment, every condescending suggestion, every helpful career advice had fueled my determination. 5 minutes to market open, Sarah called out. Financial press standing by. Your reveal as Phoenix Global CEO is trending on social media, even before the announcement. Through the screens, I watched Elizabeth start her presentation. Morgan Industries' future is secure, she was saying. Our traditional approaches, combined with careful financial management. 2 minutes, James interrupted. Trading floor ready. Legal team standing by. I stood up, walking to the window that faced Morgan Industries' building. In that boardroom, my father was beaming at his successful daughter, while his disappointment was about to show them what real success looked like. 30 seconds, Sarah counted down. Bloomberg is leading with the story. Your profile piece is ready to go live. I thought about the years of secrecy, of building something extraordinary while they thought I was failing. Of watching Elizabeth take credit for ideas I'd suggested years ago. Of hearing my father dismiss technology as a passing trend. 10 seconds, James announced. 9, 8. Elizabeth's voice came through the speakers. And that's why Morgan Industries will always remain independent, a family legacy. 3, 1. The opening bell rang and I gave the command that would change everything. Execute. The takeover was swift and ruthless. Across every screen in my office, Morgan Industries' stock price began to soar as Phoenix Global's shell companies launched their coordinated buying assault. Through the live feed, I watched the exact moment when realization hit the boardroom. Ms. Morgan, Elizabeth's assistant, interrupted her presentation. There's something you need to see. The boardroom's screens flickered to life, displaying real-time trading data. Morgan Industries shares were being purchased at an unprecedented rate, the price climbing beyond their most optimistic projections. What's happening? My father demanded, his face turning pale as he watched his company's ownership structure transforming before his eyes. Elizabeth frantically tapped at her tablet. This is impossible. Someone's buying everything. But who has this kind of? Her voice trailed off as the financial news alerts started flooding every device in the room. The headlines were exactly as we'd planned. Breaking. Phoenix Global launches hostile takeover of Morgan Industries. Tech giant reveals identity of mysterious CEO. Sophie Morgan, the hidden billionaire behind Phoenix Global. My office phone lit up immediately. Elizabeth's name flashing on the screen. Hello, sister, I answered calmly. Having an interesting board meeting? Sophie. Her voice cracked. This is some kind of mistake. Phoenix Global is. You can't be. Can't be what, Elizabeth? Successful? A real business person? Worthy of the Morgan name? Through the live feed, I watched my father grab the phone from her. Whatever game you're playing, stop it now. This is our family legacy. No, father. It was your legacy. Now it's mine. I nodded to James, who activated the boardroom's video conference system. My image appeared on their screens. No longer the disappointing daughter in simple clothes, but the CEO of one of the world's most valuable technology companies. My God, my father whispered, taking in my executive suite, the Phoenix Global logo behind me, the obvious trappings of real power, not the inherited kind they'd clung to. As of 3 minutes ago, I announced to the stunned boardroom, Phoenix Global owns 51% of Morgan Industries shares. By noon we'll control over 60%. Elizabeth's 5-year growth strategy is hereby terminated. You can't do this, Elizabeth protested weakly. I'm the CEO, if the next president. Actually, I smiled, you're neither. The board meeting today will have a different agenda. Starting with your resignation. Sarah handed me a tablet showing Morgan Industries' complete financial records. Your innovative financial strategies left the company perfectly vulnerable to this takeover. Did you really think nobody would notice the structural weaknesses in your quarterly reports? Those reports were perfect. Elizabeth snapped. Every analyst was too afraid of the Morgan name to point out the obvious. I cut her off. Except, of course, Phoenix Global's analysts. We've been planning this for months. Years, actually. My father seemed to age a decade in minutes. All this time, while we thought you were struggling with that small consulting business, I built an empire, I finished for him. One that makes Morgan Industries look like a small family shop. Which, let's be honest, is exactly what it became under your leadership. The screens displayed Phoenix Global's portfolio: technology patents, global infrastructure, artificial intelligence platforms. Real innovation, not the conservative, traditional approaches Elizabeth had just been praising. Your access to all Morgan Industries systems has been revoked, I continued. Security will escort you out after this call. Don't worry about collecting your personal items. We'll have them delivered to your homes. Well, the homes you can still afford after Morgan Industries stock options are recalculated. Sophie, please. My mother's voice came from somewhere in the boardroom. We're family. Family. I laughed. Like when you excluded me from board meetings. When you mocked my little consulting business. When father here told everyone I wasn't worthy of the Morgan name. The real-time trading data showed Morgan Industries' ownership percentage ticking steadily upward. 54%. 55%. The market was responding exactly as we'd predicted. As of today, I announced, Morgan Industries becomes a subsidiary of Phoenix Global. Your board is dissolved. Your executive positions are terminated. And the Morgan legacy? I smiled. Well, it turns out the disappointing daughter knew something about legacy after all. You've destroyed us, Elizabeth whispered.